Apologetics. You know what I'm saying? Showing black dignity with the gospel.
What up, y'all? It's your hometown hero, the real Adam Coleman, right here with D New and the BK Apologist with Tru-ID Apologetics. What's happening with y'all?
We're good. I'm good. BK's good.
I'm sick. I'm sick, but I'm good.
Well,
he's kind of good. Yeah, he's got.
He's pseudo good. We're going to talk about
pseudo good. Hey, I am not pseudo. I'm never pseudo.
It's a segue to the show.
There you go. A nice lead in. You know what I'm saying? BK, you're gonna be off camera a little bit. I think we had rabies or something like that.
No, I do not have rabies, man. I got a cold, man. This guy right here. They're gonna clip that and run with it now. You know that, right? BK got rabies.
I should have said leprosy. So, the Hebrew Israelites would have picked up on it. Like, see, the Lord has struck him.
Yeah, right.
Now, oh man, that's what's up. So, there's a lot that's been going on, man. A lot that's been going on. As you know, I was under the weather a little bit. So I've been recuperating, and y'all been recuperating, and all that kind of stuff. It's like everything's breaking loose. You know what I'm saying? On the internet, like I guess in these apologetic streets, you would have to have been living under a rock if you weren't aware of the whole Billy Carson meltdown. That's just been taking the internet by storm. So it's just madness right now. Yeah, I know some snippets about it, but I'm gonna turn it over to you, D New, to bring folks up to speed. Anybody who may not, be aware as of yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point that would be exactly correct. Like you would have to be living under a rock, but I mean, even the soil under a rock can sometimes get some airtime. I don't know, like everyone is talking about this. So Billy Carson. Who is Billy Carson? Billy Carson is an individual who, at least for us in the UA, is very well known. If he specifically is not well known, his rhetoric is well known because we deal with the conscious community. So who is Billy Carson? Billy Carson is a person who has a huge social media following on several social media platforms. He is pretty much a household names in the circles that he runs in. And as I said a few moments ago, what his claims amount to is pretty much the stuff that we hear coming from the conscious community. Specifically, the stuff that we hear in regards to what we believe as Christians, and the Bible and what we believe as Jesus, those sorts of things. Anyhow, Billy Carson has been around for many, many, many years. He does a lot in his arena. So he runs and holds tours in Egypt. He holds seminars. He teaches. He has his own TV production, something like that. He has a lot of endeavors that he has his own clothing line, things like this.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. But suffice to say, his voice has had a lot of weight for years and years and years. And he makes certain claims about Christianity and about Jesus, about the Bible. He has been on platforms that are pretty popular in the social media world, where he's repeated these claims from place to place to place. The thing is that Billy Carson has never, been in the audience of people who challenge his claims. He's always in the audience in company of people who agree with him or are in wonder and in awe at this knowledge that they've never heard of before. But enter Wes Huff. Okay. So Billy Carson had the opportunity, and I'm calling it an opportunity, to have a sit down and like a virtual sit down with Wes Huff. Who is Wes Huff? Wes Huff is a Canadian Christian apologist. He is a scholar in his field, which is the field that Billy Billy traverses in. Okay, so that would be ancient texts and more, but specifically we're talking about as that relates to Billy. He is an expert. Okay, and so Billy had the opportunity to have a dialogue with Wes Huff, and this is what has been going on around the internet. This interaction that Billy tried to suppress for a very long time, but it's very hard to suppress things when we're talking about the social media world. And so, if you've seen the video, within 10 minutes, it is clear that Mr. Carson has not known what he's been talking about for the last several years. Within 10 minutes, Wes Huff dismantled all of the claims that he shotgunned in one minute. And so, this is just, as I said, this has never been seen before. Billy always has the occasion to be with people who don't critique him and who don't catch him on everything. He talks very fast, and it takes a lot of energy to address everything that he says. But Wes had the opportunity to do that. And so this is what's been blowing up. People are replaying this. People are sharing this. People are reviewing this. And that's what we're going to be doing a little bit today as well.
Definitely. And actually, here's the thing, right? First of all, I didn't realize that Wes was Canadian, and I feel like this debate between Wes Huff and Billy Carson, like it was such I mean, Carson got demolished, dismantled. It was just pure carnage from an apologetic standpoint. I think this right here, this is the win that Canada's been waiting for since the Drake Kendrick situation right here. Like this is that get back. You know what I mean? They've been waiting for that get back. Matter of fact, where's Billy Carson from? Is he from the West?
No, I think he's from Florida, right?
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
Florida. He lives in Florida. I don't know if he's from Florida, but I believe that he lives in Florida.
If you're from LA, that would be even sweeter because like this is that win that Canada needed to get back right after the Drake Kendrick situation. Most people say that Drake, so they needed that hit back, man. And Wes Huff was able to step up and give him that. I think with this debate with Billy Carson, man. So shout out to Wes Huff, did a phenomenal job. I mean, I haven't seen him beaten that bad in a debate in the apologetics realm since Damon Richardson beat up on Richard Carrier. Like it was just like it was like that. It was like that.
Yeah. I think it was also on the order of James White and Rakah as well.
Oh yeah,
like
true.
That was a total. That was a total.
It was a very polite takedown too. Wes was very civil, very cordial.
Yeah,
which made it all the more devastating, in my opinion.
Absolutely, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, that scripture that says, "A soft answer turns away wrath." Man, Wes's soft answers were turning away a whole lot. A whole lot.
Yeah. Proverbs says a gentle tongue could break a bone. So there was a lot of fracturing going on in that discussion.
Yeah,
that was like jujitsu then. Like he was on some some
Steven Seagal, right? So Steven Seagal just right.
Seagal, you know what I mean? It was wild, man, because like you said, D-New, I think most of the time, well, this is the first time that I'm aware, that Billy Carson was engaging with somebody who was knowledgeable and could give him some meaningful scholarly pushback. And I think it just really showed that there's levels to this. Like you have guys who can make a name for themselves on social media or however, Billy Carson blew up. And then you have guys who are really out here doing the work, like who are actually in academia, well studied, know the sources, can get back to the primary sources and walk you through why, what Billy Carson is saying is trash. You know what I mean? And so that's who he ran into. And I doubt that he knew going into that conversation, like, how prepared Wes Huff was going to be. I think he probably thought he was going to steamroll. That would be my guess.
Yeah, I mean, I I agree with that. So the debate / conversation / interaction, it wasn't, it wasn't a like bona fide debate in terms of, opening statements and, round 1, round 2. It wasn't that, but it was more of like a discussion and interaction. Following that interaction, Billy, Mr. Carson, released a video where he came to defend what happened during the debate. And so, as I said, initially, he contacted the host whose platform the conversation took place on, and requested that he not show the debate, that he not air it, that it stay, not seeing the light of day. The host did that for a while, but eventually released it. Okay. He released it just for a few hours, and then it was taken down again. But people in those few hours that it was released, some people were able to download it. So people had a copy of it. Okay. And so eventually people started to play the interaction on their channels, but they were encouraged, I like to say encouraged by YouTube to take it down. And so they took it down. Okay. There's a lot, as you just said, there's a lot of layers to this. Anyhow, the moral of the story is that eventually it did get released to the public, and Billy responded. Everyone was waiting for Mr. Carson to say something about this performance. Well, he eventually did, and it was a disaster. It was an absolute disaster. And he was just saying stuff in his response that literally did not match up with reality. He was saying things happened during the discussion that clearly did not happen. How do we know? Because we saw the footage. And so it was amazing to me, because that in itself was just a picture of what Billy's been doing for years. Pulling the wool over people about reality, that people have every opportunity to check out the reality for themselves. They can go to the Google machine. You don't need to go to seminary these days. You don't need to have books in your bookshelf. You can go to the Google machine and ask Google if what Billy said was right. And lo and behold, it's not right. And so it was a really like microscopic moment. What he did in his response video was really a tell on what he's been doing for years, which is lying about reality. And so after a few days, he took that response video down. He said a lot of damaging things all towards himself and to his goal of, his intent was to sue not only Wes, his goal was to sue the host that the conversation took place on, and he was attempting to sue the person, individual who edited the video. So again, it's a lot to talk about. If you haven't been aware of it, it's a lot to talk about. But suffice to say,
I don't mean to cut you off, but I just wanted to add in that what I'm going to do is in the description of this video, because so many people have commented on it and there's so many different pieces, I'm just going to put links to different channels like, Capture Christianity. What do you mean? Of course, my guy Vocab, certainly, BK Apologist. We definitely want to highlight with BK, because BK, you've been talking about Billy Carson for a while. Like, this is not new to you.
I was kind of early. I was kind of early to the party. Me and IP were pretty early to the party. So
yeah. So definitely put those links, in the description. Yeah.
One thing with Vocab is that, so I mentioned that individuals who attempted to air the discussion on their channels got copyright strikes, and they had to take it down, or got warnings, maybe not strikes, but requests to take it down. And so what happened with Vocab is that once he heard about it, we all know that Vocab is not a stranger to threats. He's not a stranger to cease and desists. He's not a stranger to receiving letters regarding litigation for the content and the things that he says. And so Vocab got a hold of the video and he put it on his channel. He did a reaction to it. And his video was the first place that it was viewable, not a word, but you can flow with me. Viewable for people. His was the first place because he didn't care about any of the threats to take it down. And so I think what happened after that is once people saw that, they were kind of reassured that nothing really would happen to their channels. And so it kind of created like a snowball effect. But I think that that's something that people don't realize, that there were people who responded before him and who had it on their channel, but they all took it down. His was the one that went up and stayed up.
Yep.
Okay, vocab. Yeah, shout out to vocab. You know what I'm saying? We're on the front lines out here. All right, bro.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Yeah. So it was definitely a demolishing. Like I had heard about the debate. Alfredo, you had shared it, in one of our text threads or whatever. So that's where I first heard about like the full debate being out. And I mean, I saw you guys commenting on it, how much of a just demolition it was. But then when I actually watched it, I was like, oh yeah, this is bad. This is really bad. And I think Carson was in a situation where, because he just crashed out so bad in response, I mean, like you said, he's threatening to sue the guy who set up the debate / dialogue. He threatened to sue Wes Huff. He threatened to sue anybody who put it up and all this kind of stuff, like all of that. And then on top of the 3-hour, crash, he was just crashing out, bro. Like he was just out here for a while. It's like the medicine was worse. They said the cure is worse than the illness, or whatever that saying is. He was definitely doing his own self a disservice. I don't know if this. I mean, I think it would have been a big deal either way, but I think that actually his response to the debate, actually amplified it even more. Like he did more to promote his own poor performance in the debate than anybody, I think. You know what I'm saying? Like he really blew it up.
He doesn't have a good PR team, if he has one at all, because somebody who's in PR, the first thing they tell you is don't respond.
Yeah.
Don't respond. Keep your head down. Keep doing what you're doing. People will eventually forget it. But because you did this 3-hour rant, they're like, gee, I wonder why he's so upset. Because a lot of his core audience probably didn't know about the debate either.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but now they know because you said it.
Yeah.
So
for sure. He was his own worst enemy for sure. Like it's like he was saying things in like that 3-hour joint, like, I wasn't at full strength. I almost died days before the event. I was sick, and and it's like, yeah, I mean, even if that's true, even if he was sick, even if he wasn't at full strength, even if he wasn't in his right mind, the reality is the claims that he was making in that debate, he's made multiple times before on multiple different platforms.
Right.
So
right.
It's not like he was debunked on something in that conversation, which we're going to see a clip here in a minute. It's not like he was debunked about something in that conversation that he hadn't already made that same claim elsewhere and before. So it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how you were feeling that day. You were still shown to have been.
I've made videos debunking those points that he made years ago.
Yeah.
See?
But what's bizarre is that he expected us to believe that. This is what I'm saying. Like you have been saying this stuff for years. So, do you not know that we know? We know what you've been saying and so that was another aspect of it. At some moments, I actually was like concerned for, with all due respect, I was concerned for his cognition because again, we like, unless he didn't know that the discussion was out there, but you have to have, it's what you're responding to. Like we can literally go back to the video that's going to be up until Jesus comes. And that video still even might be in the New Jerusalem. Who knows? Right. But like we have access to that video so we can see if you're telling the truth. And it's just bizarre to me that he thought that people would believe him. That's kind of
what happened. I think what happened, the reason why he even entertained the discussion with Wes, it was because of his own hubris. right?
Right.
Because he's used to dealing with, at best, cultural Christians.
Yes.
Right. So it's easy to beat them up because they don't read, they don't study, you know. So when his friend said, I got this Christian guy that knows his Bible, his stuff, like, sure, I'll talk to him.
Yeah.
And he's thinking, you know, well, this is some wicked thing, dude. You know, I don't gotta, you know, sure, I'll acquiesce. He's right about these points. Who's gonna care? Because I'm Billy Carson. Who's Wes Huff? But then when it became something, then he got into damage control.
Yeah.
Damage.
That's what happened.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
I mean,
actually,
to be honest,
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, you go. I've been talking.
It's all good. It's a lot. It's a lot to say, you know, because there's so many layers to it, like you said earlier. But I think I just want to piggyback on you know, BK's point about hubris, just that pride of probably thinking that I can just go in here and manhandle this guy. Like, to be honest, the host of the show is, first of all, somebody that apparently they had a friendly rapport. They considered one another to be friends. You know, the host of the show and Billy Carson. Yeah. And this host, I think that he claims to be a Christian of some sort. But then when you listen to this dialogue, I mean, it's pretty clear that the host is, it doesn't seem like he's really thoroughly committed to, like, you know, point by point what Christianity is about and entails. And he was a little wishy-washy on some things. And so I think maybe Carson thought, well, okay, well, this Christian guy, somebody like him, I'm good. Yeah, I'm gonna just steamroll this guy too, the same way I probably would him. You know what I mean? So he probably showed up thinking like that's what it was gonna be, and then he just ran into a buzzsaw and was like, "Oh, actually, I messed up. Like this was not what I was gonna be. You know, this is not the caliber of opponent that I thought I was gonna be dealing with." But it's just so funny to me because I was listening to a clip of Billy Carson. I can't remember whose channel played this, but I guess he was somewhere where maybe some people were doing some street evangelism. And he's retelling the story of encountering some street preacher or something like that who asked him if he had been saved. And then he says to that guy, like, yeah, you don't know who you ran into. You've just stumbled upon one of the world's foremost specialists and scholars on the ancient languages and da-da-da-da-da. And what's funny is I think that's actually what happened to Billy Carson. I think he didn't realize that, oh, I've actually stumbled upon somebody who has a legitimate doctorate and has the credentials and the acumen that I've been claiming to have, and now being face to face with the real deal is like, you know what? Actually, there's levels to this. Like, this is something. This is different right here. You know?
Yeah. At the end of his 3 hour, he, you know, let his audience know what was coming up next for him, and he revealed that he would be doing a Bible series, and that he was going to have Christians come on and do some teaching about the Bible. Okay. And so, and he, I don't remember right now, but he gave the name of some of those Christians that he's going to be having on the channel. But these are the type of Christians that he's accustomed to. He's accustomed to, he's accustomed to either progressive Christians who aren't Christians. Progressive Christianity is not really Christianity. And he's accustomed to people who aren't convicted with the truth of Scripture. And so that's his framework for Christians, these Christians. And so again, he just came to a whole new beast when he encountered someone like Wes Huff. So
yeah, man. Yeah. You know, so it's just pretty crazy. You know, I'm gonna play a clip right here, but before I do, just, you know, I keep being brought back to that point about just pride. I mean, it's like the scripture said, pride comes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall. Or I probably got that backwards, but we commonly say pride comes before a fall. You know what I mean? And I just really feel like that's, you know, Billy Carson is like the poster child for that verse right now. It was crazy is there was even one point where he was saying things in his crash out mode in that 3 hour video, where I guess he's supposed to be, you know, trying to do some damage control and just making things worse, where he's like referring to some of his, I guess maybe people that was in the chat, you know, that maybe was like, yo, you bugging or something like that. He's referring to like poor black people. Oh, I'm not one of these poor, stupid black people. I got an elevator in my house. I'm taking a private jet to do this. I can hop on the phone with billionaires and do that. Like, he's like, referring to, poor black people and people, poor, dumb black people and stuff like that. I'm like, wow, bro. Like, that's wild,
He was definitely giving polite vibes. He was definitely giving polite vibes. So we did that.
So check this out. And so here's what's interesting. It's funny you should say that. So polite, but then also, I think there's some young Pharaoh in there. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And here's
Absolutely.
Because like y'all know, like when I first heard Billy Carson, I never really paid him much attention, but like as I'm listening to him, immediately I'm hearing like Malachi New York, and I'm hearing Nuwapianism. I'm hearing like all these different elements that we've been heard before. You know what I'm saying? Like it's nothing new. Yeah. But I think because throughout the 90s, early 2000s, as that was becoming present on the internet, it was mostly from what I could tell, mostly centered around like Sonetta's channel, which was heavily like anti-white early on. You know what I'm saying? So it's like really Billy Carson took all the same things. Like when he's talking about like taking people on tours and stuff, Egypt and all that was Ashra Kwesi.
Ashra Kwesi, right.
Yeah,
doing that, right?
Yep.
So like all like the main elements of what Billy Carson does, he got it from these other guys, minus the overt anti-white themes throughout his stuff. So I feel like he kind of repackaged Sonetta TV and made it palatable for a white audience. And I think that to an extent, Young Pharaoh did the same thing. Like some people don't know, but Young Pharaoh was actually asked to come speak at like a Trump rally.
Yeah.
And then when
it was worse than that, not Trump rally. It was the CPAC.
It was CPAC.
Oh,
he was going to be a speaker at CPAC.
Mm-hmm.
He was a week away from being a speaker in CPAC.
And they did a deep dive and realized, actually, they probably didn't need to do a deep dive, but they came across, he was making some anti-Semitic statements, Young Pharaoh was, and all this, and then they had to like yank away, they had to yank that invitation. But I guess I said that to say, like, if you subtract like the anti-white, rhetoric, and still kind of package some of this alien stuff and all this and that, then you just basically put yourself in the category of like a QAnon type vibe, which is something that a broader, white audience would rock with. And I think that's part of why Billy Carson was able to blow up the way that he did. You know what I mean?
Right. He's the token black guy for the ancient astronauts theory. That's what he became.
Yes.
The token black guy.
Yeah.
Right.
It's this, when we talk about urban apologetics, we talk about it being, a subset of, mainstream apologetics. And we say things like, apologetic issues that we deal with can't stay, in its own little niche. Like this affects the whole body. This affects the mainstream apologetic community. And what Billy had the chance to do is to bring the Black conscious community rhetoric into mainstream spaces. And so that's what makes him, as you just said, Adam, a household name. He's not even really a household name anymore in the conscious community, the Black conscious community. He is, people know about him, but he's household and naming it in a whole other neighborhood. And so, this is beautiful because even though he's over here, it still affects all of the talking points that we deal with over here. There's no difference between Billy Carson and, as you said, Young Pharaoh, the past Young Pharaoh, maybe. There's no difference between Billy Carson and people that you see in the live chats of Sonetta's platform. There's no difference. The only difference is the neighborhood and the neighbors. It's the same beast, though.
So, oh man, so this actually, and I hadn't even thought about this till you said that, right? And just popped in my head now, so I'm hoping I'll be able to articulate it the way that it is striking me right now. But I think this is why. Well, 2 points. Number one, this really shows the nature of deception. You know what I'm saying? Like, deception doesn't know a color barrier or an ethnicity barrier, right? Bad ideas, and I'll just to keep it from being abstract, bad ideas in the context of urban apologetics and conscious community, like, don't have a color. The
That's
the
right.
ideas don't have a color. And
That's right.
so with the right, kind of nuance, they can spread just like a virus. You know what I'm saying? Like a virus could be in one form, and Dina, you'll be able to articulate this better than I could, but a virus could be in one form, and then it can morph, in some ways to make itself more spreadable,
It
right?
adapts. It
That's
adapts.
what COVID. It
Yeah.
adapts. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, it may be weaker, but then it's more widespread or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And so likewise, ideas can do that, right?
Yeah.
They don't like, sequester themselves in one cultural setting. They can spread beyond that.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, with that being the case, this is why in the body of Christ, from an apologetic standpoint, we can't afford to be siloed in how we engage in apologetics.
Mhm.
Like apologetics, like when we're doing urban apologetics, like yes, it's a subset of the broader apologetics world, but I think it's just a word of caution that we can't we need to take it seriously. And by
Yeah.
we, I mean that people who may not find themselves in African American or minority spaces, if you don't take urban apologetics seriously, you're doing a disservice to our overall project,
Yeah.
because bad ideas in our neighborhood could easily, find themselves in your neighborhood,
Yeah.
social ethnically, right? And then next thing you know, you're dealing with something that we've been talking about for a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's
So
not,
good.
we're not houses. That we need to take a kingdom approach to
Yes.
apologetics.
Yeah.
We might find ourselves in different social ethnic locations, but we're all on the same kingdom team, and we all need to value one another, in terms of how we approach apologetics, because you just never know.
Yeah. That's so good. It's so good. It's so true. And I think that hopefully this whole event will inform the mainstream that this has been going on. This is what we need to be aware of and get together, because we're all the body. We're all the body of Christ, and this is all body of Christ related issues.
Right. And the thing is, it didn't become important when you found out. Like it may have
Yeah.
become important to you, you're
Yeah.
saying, like when you found out, but it was already significant and needing to be engaged prior to you knowing about it, right?
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
a two-way street. Likewise, we should be sensitive to issues that are going on in other, cultural
Absolutely.
context. There's
Yeah.
things like shout out to I guess it's like I can't recall the group, but I know like Zion McGregor, Damon Richardson, Rochelle Bryan, I
Mm,
think maybe Elsie Lawson maybe going over to South Africa pretty soon and doing
yep.
an apologetics I won't say concert, apologetics event in South Africa. They have their own set of apologetics needs that are not entirely overlapping with ours, but whatever's going
Yeah.
over there is important, right? And
Yes.
as the body of Christ, we need to be praying for them. We need to be praying that God will strengthen them and give them the resources they need to combat the deception that they're encountering, right?
Yeah.
This is a
Yeah.
team. This is a team
Yeah.
effort.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah. Well, let me play this clip right quick, and then I have a surprise for you guys in the audience. I'm just gonna throw it out there. Just
I'm
tease it
the
out there. Right.
audience.
Dun, dun, dun.
Sure. And in my videos, and if you listen to the podcast, the statement is according to the Sinai Bible. Okay, according to the Sinai Bible, Jesus wasn't crucified in that Bible.
Do you mind if I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
When you say the Sinai Bible, what are you referring to specifically?
It's the biblical text that was written. It made it into you can actually look it up on Amazon. It's a Bible called, I have a version at home. It's called the Sinai Bible, right, from Mount Sinai. I'm assuming that's the mountain that they're referencing there. But they put together their own version of the biblical text prior to the King James Version being put out.
Sure. So when you refer to the Sinai Bible, would you be referring to Codex Sinaiticus? Like the codex that comes... Okay. That's why I was trying to get some clarification. Because, so you can actually go and see... Codex Sinaiticus is at the British Library. So you can go and see it. It's on display. And the British Library has actually digitized the entire manuscript. So I work with manuscripts in my linguistic work. I'm an expert on early Christian scribal culture. and particularly in Greek and Coptic manuscripts. I actually have a facsimile. So I have a photocopy that was done by the British Library of Codex Sinaiticus that I work with in my office. So I have it here. And the only reason I asked for clarification is because I want to make sure that what I'm addressing is actually what you mean.
Gotcha.
And not addressing something else. Because the Codex Sinaiticus in particular is just it's a 4th century Greek manuscript.
Mhm.
It comes from approximately between 325 and 350 AD. And its text of the Gospels reads almost identical to the modern Greek text that we develop translations from. So my curiosity is just simply in kind of exploring when you say that it denies the crucifixion or that the crucifixion isn't there. I mean, I can go on right now, Codex Sinaiticus, and I can look up the end of, say, Matthew 27, where it has Jesus being crucified. And that's in Codex Sinaiticus, or, the John 19, or any of the other ones. So where was that piece
I found
discovered?
the text where I was referencing. Actually, I was misquoted. I misquoted there. It's the Gospel of Barnabas.
So let's deal with that too, because I've actually worked with, there are 2 manuscripts of the Gospel of Barnabas. The Gospel of Barnabas is a really interesting document because it is a known forgery. The only hesitation I have with what you said, Billy, is that we have single copies of the Gospels that can be dated to the 2nd century that all do have the crucifixion. And so if we're relying on something like the Gospel of Barnabas, which is not just like, it's not that there's debate about it, it's that it's a known forgery. I mean, no one's referring to the Gospel of Barnabas as anything other than.
If you say it's a known forgery and you're expert, I'm going to go with that. Let's talk about the Old Testament a little bit and leading up into the New.
Well, hold on, because
Man, it's wild, man. I mean, that's how the whole debate was, bro. Like it was just point after point, just uppercuts. You know what I'm saying? Just showing that clearly Billy Carson doesn't know what he's talking about.
It was the product placement. It was the product placement. It's like, oh, so you made this manuscript? I just so happen to have one right behind me. Who'd have done it? What a coincidence! Looky. Yeah.
I mean, this might be.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh man, the Sinai Bible. I'm like, bruh, I knew off the bat. I'm like, what in the world is that? This is the Sinai Bible. It's hilarious. I mean, I love the fact that Wes Huff, shout out to Greg Kokel. When you look at the tactics method of engaging apologetics, using questions or leading with questions in order to steer a conversation in a way to bring about this type of correction or to make a point. Not just making a counterpoint and jumping in, but using questions in order to engage with people, which just adds more oomph. When you finally hit them with the punchline. That's what Wes Huff was doing throughout this engagement. You can really see it there. So when Billy Carson says Sinai Bible, he's like, "Oh, do you mean the Codex Sinaiticus?" He already knew what the answer was going to be. You know what I'm saying? But just that right there really got Billy Carson in a corner, and he just outclassed him at every turn. Man, it was just a masterful apologetics performance for sure.
Yeah. And the interesting thing too, all of these videos are being made about it, and of course you have people who are still for and pro Billy Carson's knowledge, and I don't think that's ever going to go away, because deception is a sin, and sin never goes away. But it's just fascinating to me that people on his side, if you will, if we can say it that way, are still defending him after the truth is available. The truth is available. He literally, you cannot believe in Christianity. You can think that, you can even go beyond Billy and be a Jesus mythicist and think that Jesus didn't exist. That's fine. That's on the shelf. But is what he said true? right, is what he said. Is the resurrection mentioned in the Codex Sinaiticus? Is it mentioned? And it's a simple yes or no. The truth of the matter is that it's no. Billy Carson has been duping you. The answer is no. That's not debatable. It's not a we're not, there's no like trans truth here.
Oh, wow.
Yes
Wow.
or no. Okay.
Wait, time out. I feel like you put 2 words. So we got viewable. Is that right?
Yeah,
And
viewable,
then
trans truth.
Okay. D
Yeah.
News
Are
like the
you
new.
not flowing with me or?
That's
I'm
amazing.
with you. I'm keeping track.
That's what up there with alternative facts. That's what up there with alternative facts.
All right. So here's the thing, right? I do have a bone with you, Dino and BK, and with the whole apologetics community, because I feel like what we're not doing, and we should be, is acknowledging, Billy Carson's victory in all this, right? Because the thing of it is, it's very hard to take this type of an L, and to have all this stuff going on the internet, and at the same time be able to drop an album while all of this firestorm of craziness is going on. Some kind of way, Billy Carson managed to drop an album, and I just want to show the album cover right quick, and just really give credit where credit is due. You know what I'm saying? In honor.
So you're saying the debate was just an album rollout? That's what the debate was?
Yeah, he was just Ja Rule in it. You know what I mean? Like 50 Cent Ja Rule. He was just really trying to set the stage for the dropping of this album, which we got to give credit where credit is due. We got to give credit.
And yet I'm scared.
Wow.
See,
Illmatic. This is great. Nah.
Illmatic.
Nah. This is great.
My man Billy Carson dropped Illmatic.
This is great. He said nah instead of nah.
Instead of Nas, it's just nah.
Nah.
Nah, man.
Get it now.
Come on, man. We got to give it up. We got to give credit where credit is due, man. He dropped the Illmatic LP. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
In the midst of all the controversy going on. So we got to give respect to Billy Carson for Illmatic, man. He dropped his classic.
That's his rapper name? Nah.
Yeah.
Nah.
And
his rapper
nasty
name
nah. Nasty nah.
Nasty nah. You know what I mean? Some of the premium cuts on this album is Zoo York State of Mind. You know what I'm saying? We got Zoo York State of Mind.
Wow.
The world is not yours. The world is not
It's
yours.
mine.
It belongs to people that are
right.
slave laborers. And the world is not ours. The world is not yours. There's a lot of cuts on there. I would encourage people to check out.
Anunnaki party. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? That's the first single, Anunnaki party.
The Anunnaki party. You know what I'm saying? So, oh man, I had to get that in there, bro.
This will be sold everywhere that there's an internet connection.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're right.
So, speaking of what D News said, that a lot of this stuff is you can find this online. So now I'm no Wes Huff. I don't have any degrees, but even I found the Codex Sinaiticus, right? So if you can share my screen, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. So now this is the New Testament in English, translated from the Sinaitic manuscript. This is not the King James. This is the English translation of the Codex Sinaiticus. Okay. Matthew 28, verse 5. But the angel answered and said to the woman, "Fear not you, for I know that you seek Jesus, who was what? Crucified."
Crucified.
What about Mark 16? But he says to them, "Be not amazed. You seek Jesus the Nazarene, who was crucified." It's that simple.
That's
like it took me like 2.5 seconds to find this.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't a deep dive at all. Like this is readily available. But that's not the only thing he says too, right? I don't know if you want to talk about it. He talked about the whole thing with what's her name again?
Her name is Catherine
King.
Karen King. No, my bad.
right? So this is the CNN article, like how a mysterious man fooled a Harvard scholar into believing the gospel of Jesus' wife was real. Because he brought this up again with his discussion with Wes, right? So in 2012, Karen King, a prestigious scholar at Harvard Divinity School, announced the academic discovery of a lifetime, a scrap of papyrus purportedly from the early days of Christianity in which Jesus referred to a woman as, quote, my wife. The text also includes the words, quote, Mary, and, quote, she is able to be my disciple, end quote. It seemed at first like a blockbuster finding for feminist scholars, an existential threat to the Catholic Church's all-male priesthood. King, who unveiled her find just steps from the Vatican, thought the fragment could validate her life's work, claiming a place for women in the early days of Christianity, as if that wasn't already in scripture. But anyway, but instead of overturning years of religious scholarship, King's, quote, discovery capsized her career. The gospel of Jesus' wife, as King called it, was exposed by scholars as fake. And the prestigious professor's name has become a watchword for academics hoodwinked by con men. In 2016, after journalist Ariel Sabar published an article in The Atlantic uncovering the ownership history of the, quote, Jesus wife fragment, King herself publicly acknowledged the papyrus is likely a forgery.
Wow.
But his response, again.
Oh no,
yeah,
no, go ahead.
No, but his response to this is that she was overcome by academic pressure.
Yeah,
he did, right?
And I'm like, that's really interesting that you just know the heart of this woman. That's amazing that you just know the inner workings and the emotions of someone that you probably never communicated with. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's wild. That's some level knowledge right there. How was he managed?
Hold on.
Yeah.
So
that's wild.
So also that, right? Also that is that, but let's say that's true. She felt pressured by the academy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does that change the findings of the academy? Her feeling this way, did that change the facts? No. Right? As the saying goes, facts don't care about your feelings.
Right.
Because he almost argued that because she felt bad about what they found, somehow they should have never said that it was fake, I guess, because we want to hurt feelings. Like, that's his argument?
Right.
That's crazy. But again.
And I think too, he's trying to maintain that there is some veracity to this text. The only reason she caved is because of the pressure. It's like, nah, it's just it's the scholarly consensus that this is a forgery. It's really just that simple, Yeah. And the craziest thing about it is that the reason why he brings up, or in the debate with Wes Huff, when he brings up the gospel of Mary's wife or whatever, it's after he's already been debunked about Codex Sinaiticus. Because he said, oh, no, I was talking about the gospel of Barnabas. And then Wes Huff was like, oh, the gospel of Barnabas? Oh, yeah. See, like, here's like 5 reasons why the scholarly consensus is that that's a forgery. And then Roy brings up the gospel of Jesus' wife. He's like, oh, yeah, well, here's why we know that that's also a forgery. So it's like he fell back to a position having already been debunked about Codex Sinaiticus in this debate. Billy Carson fell back. Okay, well, gospel of Barnabas. And then Wes is like, nah, that's a forgery. Here's why. Then he falls back again. It's like, oh, yeah, but the gospel of, Mary's wife, Jesus' wife, whatever. And then Huff comes back again. Yeah, that's why that's a forgery too. So it's like, bro, you got the whole debunking of Codex Sinaiticus, or the Sinai Bible debunking of Billy Carson, followed by, you come in with like 2 known forgeries, bro, and that got exposed as well. It just went from bad to worse. It just went from bad.
His core arguments for critiquing Christianity was dismantled within a 5-minute period. That's how bad his argumentation was to begin with. Within 5 minutes, that's it.
Yeah.
5 minutes, man. That's crazy.
But
and I don't know, but to have your whole career capsized in 5 minutes, that's wild. That's wild.
But he did make a critique with Wes, right? He kept trying to paint this conspiracy type vibe, right? Every time he would drink the cup and smirk, That's supposed to be a signal to somebody, I guess, to feed him information or whatever. I think he was drinking a cup. One, he was thirsty, and two, he's probably like, "Yeah, I just got you." You know what I mean? I think that's what it is. But then he said something along the lines that he used AI or Chat GPT, right?
Yeah, he did.
Well, it's funny that he would say that, right? Because
talk about. Let me just say, like, I don't mean to cut you off, but like what he said was that he played a fake record, I guess, an AI rendering of himself speaking Korean, and be like, "Yes, he's
fake."
This is what they did.
I mean, the only person who did that was Billy.
Right. So here's a slide that he used during his 3-hour rant, right? And if you notice, there's no citation. And I think even the people in the chat was like, "Yo, where did you get this from?" And he made like, "Don't worry about where I got it. It's a deep dive. I do my study, blah, blah, blah." So I got curious because, you know, he a lot of times when people critique, they're really projecting, right? So it's like, okay, you're saying that he's using GPT. Are you using Chat GPT or AI? So what I did was I was able to take a screenshot of the slide. I was able to grab the text from the slide, and I put it in this thing called Quillbot. And Quillbot can detect if something was generated by AI. So I put the actual slide, the sentences and everything, and this is what I got.
Wow.
It is 100% AI generated.
What? What is happening?
BK is next level. I'm trying to tell y'all, man. Y'all don't understand. Like, BK is not playing out here.
Who is this BK?
Yeah, here's another one. When he talks about the King James Bible, right? So I did the same thing, and of course, 100% AI generated.
What is even happening right now?
Oh man,
100% of text is likely AI generated. Wow.
So that's why he didn't want to put a citation.
That was
3-hour rant.
3 hours.
Yes.
The 3-hour rant.
Yes.
Wow.
That's why he didn't put those citations, because he knew he got either Chat GPT or something similar. So
he said he was okay. I'm not.
Don't protest too much, Billy. So
yeah, that's why. Well, thank you for doing. Hey, BK, man. Did you have another slide? Is that it?
I mean, I got a bunch of stuff, but we could, I don't know if you want to get into it or not, but
Well, yeah, maybe we'll come back to it. But this just in, breaking news in light of the Chat GPT Billy Carson fiasco. I just think it is so apropos that not only did he drop one album, he actually dropped 2 albums. In the way
really back to back. Wow,
back to back. He's like Drake, back to back. You know what I mean? Like,
who knew he was such a prolific writer? This was great. All right.
Well, a prolific GPTer. And so before we had Illmatic, he's I guess he must be a Nas enthusiast, man, because he dropped It Was Bitten.
It was bitten. Oh man.
It was bitten, bro. I mean,
man.
Classic after classic after classic. Billy Carson is not playing
5 mics.
5 mics.
Oh, 5 unks. I guess for him it's 5 unks. He gets 5 unks.
Well, it can't be 5 mics because clearly Billy has a problem with sources. So he wouldn't be drawing anything from the source for sure.
From the source. I see what you did there. That's what you did there.
Yeah.
Right.
That was cute.
It was bitten. I mean, your boy Billy Carson been biting information from Chat GPT and from Astro Crazy and everybody else for years, and now he's finally getting caught. So it was bitten. Another Nye album, that we want to make sure we acknowledge and pay tribute to here on Tru-ID Apologetics. You can't get this anywhere else. This is breaking news right here.
I got to put that in my Spotify ASAP right here. So it's going to be constant rotation.
Immediately.
5 alien ratings.
5 alien ratings.
Oh man, I told you I had a surprise for y'all, man. I told you I had a surprise.
That was great. That was great.
No,
that was great.
Happened.
I don't know if the internet knows about this.
Now they do. Now they do.
Just in time for pagan Christmas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get both albums, man.
So I got one more thing I'd like to share, but I'll be cool. Yeah, so if you can share my screen once more, sir.
Okay. Yeah, just go ahead and add it again.
Oh, wait a minute. I forgot. Let me press. Yeah. Hold on.
For those of you watching, don't forget to like this video, share the video, sub if you haven't.
Yeah.
All right. So, and if you've been following, Billy Carson, you know that he loves to draw from the Emerald tablets, right? So much so he has his own compendium of the Emerald tablets, a beginner's guide. This is a book that he wrote or AI generated. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
But I would like to get your attention on, because you know how when you have your book, you have people who will say, "Oh, this is a great book." What do you call that? People big up your book. Endorsements.
Endorsements.
So he has, I am so impressed with your work and your research. It was a pleasure. And this is said by Eric von Daniken, best-selling author, Chariot of the Gods. Why is this a big deal? I'm glad you asked. Eric von Daniken, a Swiss author of several books, which makes claims about extraterrestrial influences on early human culture, includes the best-selling Chariot of the Gods, published in 1968. Van Daniken is one of the main figures responsible for popularizing the paleo-contact and ancient astronaut hypotheses. So in the History Channel, they got 18 aliens. It's him. He's the godfather of that whole genre. This guy right here.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. All right.
The Chariot of the Gods was on the New York Times bestseller list and helped to launch Van Daniken's career as a public speaker. Van Daniken had sold 70 million copies of his books as of January 2017.
Wow.
Okay. Soon after the publication of Chariot of the Gods, Van Daniken was accused of stealing the ideas of French author Robert Charot, a 2004 article in Skeptic magazine. This ain't Christians. Skeptic magazine states that Van Daniken plagiarized many of the book's concepts from the Morning of the Magicians. Now remember, this is supposed to be like a real working theory that these things actually happen, but he's getting it from a book called The Morning of the Magicians. That this book in turn was heavily influenced by Cthulhu mythos, and that the core of the ancient astronaut theory originates in H.P. Lovecraft's stories, The Call of Cthulhu, and At the Mountains of Madness. This is science fiction, guys.
Wow.
He's getting stuff from science fiction. But it gets better, though. It gets better. Because in this book called Frauds, Myths, and Mystery, Science and Pseudoscience in Archaeology by Kenneth Feder, he says this about Daniken. Well, if you're thinking that, how about allowing Eric von Daniken to speak for himself on this point? In his book, Sign of the Gods, he asked the question, why are there different races anyway? Though denying that he's a racialist, Van Daniken reveals his essential perspective about race throughout that book. And these are some of his points. Was the black race a failure? And did the extraterrestrials change the genetic code by gene surgery and then program a white or a yellow race? Nearly all Negroes are musical. They have rhythm in their blood. I quite understand that I'm playing with dynamite if I ask whether the extraterrestrials allotted specific tasks to the basic races from the very beginning, i.e. programmed them with special abilities. Are there races which are obviously endowed with higher intelligence than others? Wow. This is the stuff that Daniken talks about, right?
Wow.
So, and this is the guy that Billy Carson has endorsing his book. I'm like, this guy's a racist. He's a fraud. He's a plagiarist, and he's a racist.
Wow.
And this is
so
where
some races are, quote unquote, obviously endowed with greater intelligence than others. That man, it sounded like he was running with that might be your boy Gadaliah's ilk, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They were running.
Same premise.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's not the same premise. It's the same premise, different reasoning, right? Because for them it's just biology. This guy's saying it's outer space stuff that caused it. You know, so
right. Wow.
So
Man, so it's the hole gets deeper. It gets darker the deeper you go down, apparently. So it's man. It gets, I mean, so these are the things. Well, actually, that might explain why Billy Carson is referring to like dumb black people saying that in his 3-hour crash out. Like maybe I don't
You
know.
gotta work.
Could be. He got inspired by that. Yeah.
Castigating people who have to work 9 to 5.
Yeah. How about that?
Yeah.
Which is like, I would imagine 99% of his audience, but okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, man, we can go further with it. But, thanks for sharing that, BK. And, I'm glad we had a chance to chat about it. I'm definitely going to put, the links to the different people talking about it in the description of the chat. There's so much more that we could have covered. Go ahead.
I just want to say this because, as we're closing, is a lot of the Billy Carson supporters are commenting just in different videos, why are Christians still talking about this? They're asking, this doesn't mean that Christianity is true. Even if Billy, messed up, this doesn't make Christianity true. Like just saying all of these things. But here's the thing, what they don't understand is that, Mr. Carson has been saying these things for years. What are these things? Attacks directly against the validity of Scripture, the things that we as Christians hold dear, the things that shape our world, the things that shape how we live our life. For years has been maligning who Jesus Christ is. I mean, the one thing that works in his favor, I alluded to this before, the one thing that works in his favor is that he's not a Jesus mythicist. So at least he believes that Jesus was a person in history. But he makes these audacious claims about the Jesus of history, such that he's talking about a different Jesus, not the one that's in our books. He makes just these accusatory claims about the Bible and, chooses different verses to, again, show how much of a failure the Bible is. At one point in this 3-hour live stream, he said that Christians are the reason for all of the bad that's happening in the world. And so why are Christians talking about this? We are simply responding to someone who has been dogging what we hold dear for years. And we have been waiting for Billy to be in the audience of someone who has the truth. We've been waiting for years, and people have done, again, BK is one of these. People have done responses to the things that Billy has said. They've responded to videos and shown how he's wrong. But this is the first time that he was actually in the presence of someone that he could dialogue with and that we could all see in real time, as it were. And so this is why we're talking about it. The underlying premise is that people who are criticizing Christians for reacting to this and still talking about it is that they think that Christians should just stay quiet. They think that when they attack our religion, that we're not supposed to have a response back. They think that we're just supposed to, do the turn the cheek and take it. But that's not what it is. In the same way that if Christians were to attack your worldview, so to speak, and you have something to say about it, it works the exact opposite way. We are going to continue talking about this. I mean, the internet is going crazy about this. People are, if you've looked at, I know in my feed, like I'm coming across videos of people who, like, just all walks of people anywhere from like 3 subscribers to 300,000 subscribers are talking about this issue. This is not going away. It's not only is it not going to get old, it's going to remain new and fresh for a long time. And so That's the reason we have a right and a biblical responsibility to defend our faith, and no one's going to apologize about that. You know, we're going to do it with gentleness. We endeavor. Let me just say this. You know, we endeavor to do it with gentleness and with grace, but we are going to defend the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Man, that's well said. Yeah, I mean, we could drop the mic on that right there. That's well said. Did you have any closing thoughts, BK?
Nah, she got it. I'm good.
Yes, yeah, she nailed it. Yeah, that was great. That was great, man. 100% agree. And the fact of the matter is, I do think it's actually kind of interesting, you know, that people are so preoccupied with how Christians are responding, but don't seem to keep that same energy, as we talked about on our show before, when it comes to the Billy Carsons of the world. Like, he could just talk trash about Christians all day long, you know, and nobody seems to bat an eye. But if Christians respond, even in kindness with facts, like, all of a sudden it's a problem, you know, and that just seems to be, again, a level of hypocrisy. And, you know, the fact of the matter is this, and this is when it comes to like the behavior of Christians, you know, that so many people take issue with. Like, this is actually even something that Billy Carson brings up in his you know, debate with Wes Huff, when I think it was the issue of gender came up, and he was like, you know, this concept of gender with God has been used by Christians and religious people to do harm. And then I think at some other point, like just the Bible in general, like, you know, the Bible and the content thereof has been used to do harm and oppress people and so on and so forth. And, you know, the reality is, you know, you can hate the behaviors of some Christians and love Christ. It's not mutually exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
You can hate the behaviors of some, even many Christians, and love Christ. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is, you know, just because, in the same way that if somebody, you know, commits vehicular manslaughter and runs somebody over with a car, there's not a problem with the car. It's the problem with the person driving the car, you know? And so there are people who in man's sinfulness take concepts and scriptures and so forth and turn them to their own wicked ends. But that's not an indication that there's something wrong on God's part, or even the scriptures. Is that you have wicked people who do wicked things. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are people who do, you know, lots of bad things in the names of lots of whatever cause. I'm saying, but that's not an indicator of something wrong with that cause. There's a problem with that person. You know what I'm saying? So again, you can hate the behaviors of Christians and some Christians and love Christ. You know what I mean? And I think that people just need to keep that in mind. Like, the reality is, at the end of the day, is Christianity true? That's first and foremost. Is it true that there is a real God who has communicated to mankind, principally in that he came to earth, you know, just this is the season that we're in, right? We're celebrating that, you know, Christ coming, you know, God with us, Emmanuel. Is it the case that God, in the midst of all the brokenness of humanity, the sinfulness of humanity, in this broken world that we live in, he got into the muck and mire where we are, and didn't address evil from afar off. He got his hands dirty, even to the point of giving his own life, you know, as a demonstration of what love looks like, you know, and overcoming darkness, overcoming death, overcoming the very things that people like Billy Carson and these other detractors take issue with when it comes to, you know, how people behave, right? That's what Jesus died for, you know, and then he rose again. If it is true that this God loves you that much and he did all of this to reconcile you to the Father, if that's true, then it would certainly be a shame, you know, for you to remain distant from that God and disconnected from that God because of what somebody else did. You know, that's not logical, you know. So again, you can hate the behaviors of certain Christians and love Christ. It's not mutually exclusive. So, you know, y'all know what it is, man. You know, as we say all the time, love God, love people, take care of things God blesses you with. And we're gonna be back. We're gonna keep talking about this stuff because, you know, truth matters more than you keeping your algorithm free from truth. So we're gonna be here.
Yeah.
Peace.
Peace.